Enforcers blocking the passage, trying desperately to prevent bloodthirsty Goliaths from breaking in. Robotic ogrins stalking passageways they barely fit through. Orlocks with their autoguns, and squats falling into the sump. Flesh-eating foliage overgrowing sections of the hive, and then zombies being manufactured in monstrously warp-powered generators. The first half of the Old Guard Games Summer Necromunda campaign was full of twists and turns. The second half saw dropouts and tough-fought 3-player games. Games fought over territories already owned determined who was triumphant and in what category. During this campaign, we had games fought in the Sump, in the Zone Mortalis, in the Underhive Sector Mechanicus, the Dome Jungle, and would finish in the Stygian Depths. We look at what the standings are after Week 7, and then look at the final game and give out the rewards. So join us to the end of the journey of our summer campaign, this time on JD in the Sump Sea. Hello and welcome back to JD in the Sump Sea. I'm Jay, and today we'll be talking about Week 7 and Week 8 of the Old Guard Games Necromunda campaign. It's a Dominion campaign that we ran for the last 8 weeks that I arbitrated and put together. In the video today, I'll talk about the games from Week 7 and Week 8. I'll do profiles of the gangs that people brought and talk about the triumphs at the end of the campaign. Make sure you check out Badger Games and use the code JD2024 on your next purchase. They sell all sorts of historical and sci-fi and fantasy miniatures, as well as hobby supplies and painting supplies. By entering that code, you'll really help out the channel. And if you like Necromunda painting and modeling, campaigns, tactics, gang advice, gang building, terrain painting, then make sure you bust out your Warhammer and smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that black bell icon so you don't miss any videos. Now back to this week's video. I upped the ante on the games this week, since it was the last week that counted towards the triumphs in the campaign. What I did was make each enemy ganger out of action count as 2 for the triumphs, and I paired up Nathan with Jacob P and Braden with Jacob A, then had each of them bet 2 territories each. These 2 changes in the last week of the campaign would make these games matter, and hopefully everyone would feel engaged and have the proper motivation. The missions played this week were either border dispute or standoff. I also paired up people who hadn't played each other yet. The first game was Ben versus Mike P. There was no territory fought over here, but each had the opportunity to get credits, rep, kills, and be able to still possibly win a triumph. This game ended up as a draw. Game 2 was Ty versus Banjo, and Banjo ended up winning this one. Again, no territory was fought over, but kills, rep, credits, and win percentage were still motivators for this game. Game 3 was Chuck and Benjamin, and this was another draw. I was surprised by how many draws we had in this campaign, way more than I've seen in Necromunda in general since I started playing back in 2017. Game 4 was Jacob A and Braden, and this was the first game to be for territories. The Refuse Drift and the Double D Saloon territories changed hands from Braden to Jacob A after Jacob A won this game that was set in the Sump Sea. Game 5 was Nathan versus Jacob P, again for 2 territories. Jacob P won both the Stinger Mold Sprawl and the Wastes from Nathan. So in summary, there were 5 games played this week and 4 territories exchanged hands. It was actually a good change to have double kills and double territories because it really impacted who would win the various triumphs, and it wasn't set in stone until after Week 7's games were finished. So now let's take a look at the various gangs that participated in the campaign. I brought a Chaos Helot cultist gang called the Green Scourge. Dale brought his squat prospectors from the clan Nick. Chris had his Escher gang named the Syphilis Sarahs. He would go for the synth-still territory early in the campaign, and then became the main player in the chem-synth trade from week 1 on. Here is Jacob P's enigmatic Delac. His gang was beautifully painted, and his Piscean specter had lights inside so its head's eyes lit up. Mike A had a Chaos Cult gang made up of a really cool mix of Games Workshop figures and 3D prints. He had Warp Horrors and a Spawn in his gang. Nathan's Goliaths, known as the Butcher Gang, hear whispers of blood for who? Skulls, but skulls for who? They're respected by the other Goliaths, but are also kept at arm's length. They are outlaws, led by their leader, Ribeye. By the end of the campaign, they had turned to chaos and began worshipping Khorne. Banjo's Escher had many hive scum and strange allies working for them. Some from the outside believed they may be allied with the green-skinned Xenos. Mike P's Enforcers of Squad 4. Squad 4's commander Tequila was assigned to this squad of lazy, dirty, and unwanted patrolmen as a punishment for a mission that he failed at when he got his undercover partner Tango shot. However, Tequila has made the most of his new assignment and has melded this mismatched squad into a real cohesive unit. Chuck's Enforcers are led by some very cool 3D prints, and even an Enforcer Ambot that has been 3D printed as well. He had a very successful campaign bringing ne'er-do-wells to justice. Ben S's Caudor are a motley crew of misfits made up of models from many Games Workshop model ranges, and even feature a scratch-built Stig Shambler. Benjamin's Children of the Sump Dump are a Chaos Helot cult led by Father Fecula. Enforcers have been dispatched to deal with them, only to find out the threat was too much to handle. Word has it that the Imperial Inquisition has also become involved, however, they will not confirm nor deny these rumors. Ty's slave Ogren gang are made up of 3D prints he has manipulated with Blender. His painting skills are tremendous, and I recommend you check out his YouTube channel, iPainTSmallThings. Link in the description below. Braden brought a Caudor gang to the campaign, and he's gone the route of taking as many gangers as possible. And if you look closely at his leader, you'll see that he is a conversion of an old Hero Quest sorcerer model. And Paul brought his Orlocks to the campaign. They fought games in the Sump, the Underhive, and even against zombies. Ian played an Enforcer gang, and this was his first experience playing Necromunda and playing in a campaign, so he was using Sisters of Battle models, which he already had, and he had one Ambot that he was playing with, which happened to be his very first model from the Necromunda line. Week 8 was fast approaching, and I needed to come up with a scenario for everyone to play. I wasn't sure how many people would be there since this was an optional game and the triumphs had already been determined the week before, so I had to do something that could incorporate a lot of people. I decided I could do 2 board setups and have 5 or 6 people per board. The boards would be 4 by 6 feet and set in the Stygian Depths, which is a bad zone environment detailed in the Book of Peril. Basically, the battlefields would be sections of the hive suspended over a potentially bottomless pit. If a fighter falls into the pit, then they must make an initiative test. If they fail, they go out of action. If they pass, they become reinforcements. I knew I wanted to include Karloth Valois since I had just painted him, and I also wanted to include the figure L sculpted for me, which was Karloth based on his artwork, not on the original GW model from the 90s. There are fan-made rules for Karloth for this current version of Necromunda, available through YakTribe or from Casper's Instagram. The links to both of those are in the description below. This is what the rules look like. He's a fairly powerful psyker with some special powers and some special items. His black crown is really great because he can drain a stat from a fighter and add it to his own. He can enhance zombies that are near him as well, and his staff is a rather decent weapon in close combat. I decided to create a sheet that added additional rules to Karloth and to his clone son, L's sculpt, that I like to call Karloth Jr. I gave each of them additional telepathy psychic powers from the Book of the Outcast, since he is a telepath, being able to hear the thoughts of others and control zombies' actions. I gave Karloth one additional wound as well, and gave each of them 2 tactics cards, Blackout and Adrenaline Surge. I figured Blackout could help shield some of his fighters from incoming fire since he was being ganged up on by multiple gangs. Adrenaline Surge just gives the ability to do more on his turn, again since he was being ganged up on so much I figured it could be handy. I decided for Karloth that any lasting injury result that wasn't captured or dead meant that he escaped at some point after the game was over and could return again at some point in the future. Karloth Jr., being simply a clone, didn't get that benefit of the doubt. I included the Plague Zombie rules on this sheet as well. This page has the actual scenario rules. The players would deploy 3 plus D3 fighters along a board edge close to each other, but not any board edge where Karloth's stronghold started. I basically set up the terrain with that deployment in mind when I set up both boards. Each player gets 2 tactics cards, just like the rest of the campaign. There would be 2 zombie generators per board, and they worked basically like in the downtime game, except more than 1 zombie could be created per turn. The game ends when Karloth or Karloth Jr. is dead, or if all the zombie generators are destroyed and the control panels are turned off, if no players have any fighters left on the board at any time or at the end of turn 8. I built and painted some custom terrain for this game with the help of my partner and our friend Steph. We made 4 1-foot by 1-foot tiles that would represent a ruined factory building that Karloth had set up shop in to experiment on cloning and zombie making. 2 of the 4 tiles had the control panels on them. I'll be releasing another video soon showing the creation of these new tiles. So once the smoke had cleared from this game, Karloth Jr. had died. He got thrown into the abyss and failed his initiative test. And Karloth had gotten manacled by the enforcers, and when he went out of action, I rolled the lasting injury table, and he escaped. Once the game was over, I pulled out the trophies that Josh from Badger Games printed for us. Old Guard Games also provided $20 gift cards for each person who won a Triumph. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Leon and Ben from Old Guard Games. And again, if you are looking for a great selection of miniatures and hobby supplies, take a look at Badger Games' website and use our code JD2024. It really does help out the channel. The Dominator Triumphs went to Jacob A., who had 6 total territories at the end of the game. Making the Week 7 game worth 2 territories is what allowed Jacob A. to win this triumph. The Slaughterer Triumph went to Mike P., who took a total of 36 fighters out of action during the course of the campaign. Again, doubling the out-of-action count for Week 7 allowed him to win this triumph. The Creditor Triumph went to Chris, even though he didn't play in Week 6 or 7. He had amassed so much wealth that no one could catch up to him. The Warmonger Triumph went to Nathan with his 71% winning percentage. Nathan won this one because I was only giving out 1 triumph per person, but he also had the highest winning percentage with the most games played, so he did deserve it. And finally, the Power Broker went to Mike A., who had a rep of 21 at the end of the campaign. He always had a high rep, a high kill count, and a lot of territories, but no one could get above 21, even though Mike missed Week 7. Well, I hope you enjoyed this final video of the Dominion campaign that we ran at Old Guard Games this summer, and I hope also that this video inspired you to possibly go out and try running your own Necromunda campaign with your own group if you've never tried it before. But anyway, that's all I've got for you this time. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.